We've got an excellent video here for you guys today. This one is going to be called The Dangers of Expectations. Yes, you heard that right. The dangers of expectations. And, you know, for some of you guys who have followed the channel for a while, you'll know that I am in the process of writing 2 books. One of them is going to be called The Dangers of Expectations. And this one here, this is a very powerful thing that I think people underestimate how dangerous it can be. And before I get into talking about some examples in the video, you know, Tony Robbins has a saying, and he says, trade your expectations for appreciations and your whole life will change. Okay? Think about it like this before we get into the meat of this video. Say this half from here to here is what you have in your life. This half from here to here is what you don't have in your life. Let's call this half your expectations. This half is your appreciations for the things that you already have. And this half is for things you're striving for. Expecting things to happen is a very root cause of a lot of emotional pain. Let me give you an example. In poker, let's say you're playing, this is an easy example for all the poker players that follow my channel. Let's say you're playing a tournament. Let's just say, I don't know, it's a $1,000 buy-in tournament, an MTT. First place is, let's say, $1 million. And second place is, let's just say, 100,000. And you finish second place in this tournament, which seems like it's a good thing. You're like, oh, I just made $100,000, 99,000, I guess, to be exact. But it hurts so bad because you had that expectation of making what was $1 million for first, right? So if you focus on what you just missed out on instead of appreciate what you just got, you're just going to drive yourself insane. And this is not just a money thing. This is with everything. Everything in life. There are some, let me give you another example. Let's say there's a middle-aged woman and she's expected to have kids. So let's say she's like in her mid-40s and she doesn't have any kids yet. And she's expected that she would have kids at this point in her life. No matter what else this person has in their lives, they're just gonna feel emotional pain, always. Because that expectation of having kids wasn't fulfilled. And it's always just lingering there in the background, always just lingering around, right? Or let's bring it to another example. Let's say you're just a random guy and you expect your friends to act a certain way. And they don't. Let's say they don't act in the way you expect them to be acting. Now all of a sudden, you're let down. You have this letdown where it's just like, I expected him to respond to the situation this way, but they responded that way and I didn't like it, right? So your expectations are always things that are usually beyond your control. That you have a little bit of control over, but not full control over. See, on this side, the expectations, you don't have full control over them. You have some influence on them, but never full control. And when you try to take full control over something that you only have influence on and you don't have full control on, that's going to cause a lot of emotional pain. Over on this side, you can always appreciate the things you already have. Very easy to do that. You just appreciate the things that are already there. And these are things that are overlooked, right? It could be your arms, it could be your eyes. It could be your torso, it could be your legs. We're always overlooking these, things that we have. It could be your family. It could be the bed that you sleep in. Like, oh yeah, everyone has a bed. No, not everyone has a bed. It could be the warm water in the sink, in the shower. So all those little things, we tend to not really focus on them. We just overlook them. Well, we already have that. That's the kind of attitude. So Tony Robbins says, trade your expectations. Stop looking and focusing on this. Trade your expectations for appreciations for everything that you have in your life, and your whole life will change in an instant. And if you keep that at the forefront of your mind, whenever you're yearning for something, whenever you really want something, whenever you really, really want something that you don't have just yet, right? You really want it. Those expectations can drive you mad. They can drive you insane. They can make your day-to-day life miserable in a way, because you're always just feeling bad, focusing on this thing that you want but you don't have, so you always have this negative feeling that you're just carrying around. This could be anything. Like I said, literally anything. Anything that you don't have and you're reaching out for energetically, those are expectations. Anything that you already have that you can just basically appreciate, that's this side of the equation. Okay? So really, what I think is best for your overall happiness as a human is to really focus heavily on this side. Now, you should have expectations and some goals, but you can't get too attached to what's on this side, because you have to understand you only have a limited amount of control for the things that are on this side. You have a limited amount of control, a very small amount of influence here for everything that's here. But at any point in your life, at any point of the day, any minute of the day, you can focus on everything that's here, appreciate it, be grateful for it, and feed yourself some positive emotions. So that's something very simple that anybody can do on a day-to-day basis. All you gotta do is kind of remind yourself, have this daily practice where you're just you ask yourself maybe in the morning or at nighttime, what can I appreciate about today? Just the smallest things that you never even actually consider. Like having a computer, being able to go on the internet, right? These little things that we overlook and we never really appreciate them. It's just, we just take it for completely, for the most part. We just take all these things just for 100% complete granted. Where it's oh yeah, they're just there, whatever. I have this computer, but I want the next computer, I have this kind of clothing, but now I want the next kind of clothing. It's just there's always something. There's always something. There's always something. And the more you reach, the more you want something, right? Usually when you get that thing, you realize it's not as good as you thought it would be. Or that you kind of made up in your mind, A good example is not a good example, but just an easy example is a brand new phone. You're oh man, I want that brand new phone. It'll be so amazing. The screen is bigger, this, that. Once you get your phone, it lasts for about a week or two that you're oh, this phone is awesome. And then after that, you just take it for granted from there on. It's that simple, As humans, we just get familiar and we start taking things for granted. And that could be humans too. Maybe you're looking for the significant other You're like, only if I had a perfect significant other and this and that, I'd be so happy. It would fix everything. And then you're with that person, and then some years go by, and you're like, now it's familiar. Now I'm just used to it. Now I just take it for granted, So it's that way with everything in life. So be careful, because a lot of people live a large portion of their lives expecting things from people. Not only from people, just expecting certain events to happen in their life or whatever expectations are here. Expecting people to treat them a certain way or whatever. It could be anything you're expecting over here. You're not going to be able to control that 100%. So you kind of have to, put your hands up and let the chips fall where they may when it comes with things on this side. Do what you can to influence it, right? But keep most of your focus here. One of the guys that I watch, his name is Ed Mylett. He talks about this principle where he says 80% of my life, I'm appreciating and grateful for everything that I have. And then just the 20%, I'm thriving and hungry for more. Just the 20%. But 80% of it is just really just feeling and appreciating everything that you already have in your life. So, take that for what it is. Obviously, you're not going to be able to do exactly, 80%, 20%, whatever it is. But whenever you find yourself just reaching out for something or wanting something so bad or trying to, arrange things in the outside world in a way that's going to make you happy or whatever, that means you need to cut it out, detach yourself from this, come to this side, spend some time here, appreciating every single thing that you already have in your life, including things you've never even taken the time to appreciate or be grateful for. And you're instantly going to just start to feel so much better and more peaceful, because this side brings a lot of anxiety and it can easily spiral out of control. Trust me, I speak from personal experience too. This side can easily spiral out of control, where you're just so anxious now to get that certain something or whatever. And it's just like now on a day-to-day basis, you're just always anxieties flooding through your body and stress and this and that. But this side is peace and love, So spend a lot more of your time here. And that's it for today's video. So like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.